Hey everybody, Shaun Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, and I am back with another review. I am so close to finishing this whole series, and I gotta say, I'm really disappointed. Because today I am reviewing book number 11 in the SPINECHILLERS Mysteries series, Hospitals Make Me Sick. Things were going so well with this series. Book 10 was so much fun. Book 9 I thought was a lot of fun. Book 8 I had problems with until the very end, and then I thought, oh, that is actually kind of scary. Book 7 was actually the best of the series in my opinion. Book 6 was kind of meh. Book 5 was fine. Book 4 was good. Book 3 was pretty good. Book 2 was decent. Book 1 not so great. And now book 11. Ugh. I just have to say, this book may not be worth your time. If you have read any of these other SPINECHILLERS mystery books, you know by now the basic premise. Freddie Katz, aka Tim Ayers, takes some kind of an idea that's usually a spooky type story and gives it a hope-filled, faith-filled twist. So these are all Christian books. They're kind of a Goosebumps ripoff series that came out in the 90s, and there were 12 books total. This is book 11. And I think by this book, I am not sure if Freddie Katz was running out of ideas, because this particular book played a lot like Dr. Shiver's Carnival of Terror, the very first book that came out, where you have these three kids. Here's the basic premise. You have these three kids. One of them is climbing a tree when he's not supposed to be, out in the woods where they're staying at this cabin with two of the kids' mom. And he falls out of the tree, hurts his arm. They have to go to a nearby hospital. Not being from the area, they have to try and find one. Now, here's the thing. The mom is a business person who is working a hard deal. She's got this phone calls off the hook. She's trying to finalize this deal and doing all these different things. And so she takes the kids to the hospital and she tells them she's going to leave them there while she goes back to the city to finish up a deal. So she leaves them at this hospital while the youngest brother is getting his arm checked, and the older brother, who's like 12, is supposed to be looking after him, and then their cousin is there as well. Cousin? Yes, their cousin Deanna. So the three of them are all at this hospital, and right off the bat, things are a little odd because spooky stuff starts to happen to them. Some of the doctors have some very strange names, like Dr. Frankenstein and Dr. Jekyll. And there's calls over the PA system for a veterinarian to help the Wolf Man. And from the beginning, I was thinking, what exactly is going on here? Because throughout this book, the kids run from one area of the hospital to the next. And every time they go to a new part of the hospital, there are creepy things happening. There are spooky things happening. There are people with chainsaws. There are really gross things in the kitchen that look like maybe they're not quite regular food, if you catch what I mean. There are all kinds of stuff happening throughout this hospital. Some patients are dressed up like zombies and chasing after them, and they are just trying to escape and get out of this hospital. This book was the most run-around book I have ever read. The kids just ran from one thing to the next. And throughout, everyone keeps telling them that if they solve this riddle, they'll be able to get out. I gotta say, okay, let's have some real talk for a second. This riddle makes no sense. It makes no sense. Let me read it to you and see, dear reader, if you can figure out the riddle of the hospital. Because to me, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Here is the riddle. What do you think? Does this make any sense to you? This is what it says on page 21. What can make you laugh till you're out of breath, but still scare you to death? What can help kids heal while its fright makes you squeal? What can raise change while acting deranged? Now, I just have to say, aside from the not great poetry and rhyme scheme and some questionable words, This doesn't make any sense. Even when you find out what the answer is at the very end of the book, it doesn't make sense. I kept thinking to myself, what? I don't understand how that's the answer to this riddle. This doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. And at the very end, I will admit, I thought this whole time this was going to be a dream. And I'm just going to say this, even though this is a non-spoiler review, I want to say this because you might go in like me and within the first few pages think this is all just a dream. I'm here to tell you, it is not a dream. Not a dream. And I don't understand how it's not a dream. Because things happen in this book that defy logic. There are no pieces of it that make that much sense. It just loops around into all kinds of things that just go from 1 minute they're in the morgue of the hospital, the next minute they're in the cafeteria, the next second they're in the operating room, the next second they're being tied up with bandages by the orderlies in the hospital. It doesn't make sense. Nothing connects. It's all just a jumble. And by the very end of the book, I closed it and I thought, that's it? That's the end? The twist? You definitely can't see coming. There's no way, because it doesn't make any logical sense. It's not even something you would ever think of in a million years. You wouldn't be like, oh, that might be what's happening. It just comes and you're sitting left there thinking, huh? What? That is what was going on this whole time? You're just left thinking, that would never happen in real life. And granted, I recognize these books are not real life. I recognize that a lot of these books are just, fun stories. But this literally would never happen in real life. I can't with this book. I just can't. I don't know what else to say about it. This, to me, is the worst of all the Spine Chillers books. I did not like it. It is one, when I reread this series sometime, I'm going to skip this one. I will not reread it because I don't ever want to read it again. So, at the end of the day, how many stars do I give Hospitals Make Me Sick? Well, this book made me sick. And I forgot even to mention that this book mentions itself in the book. They go into the library at one point, and a book falls off the shelf. And the book that falls off the shelf is called Hospitals Make Me Sick, about 3 kids in a hospital running around from creatures and monsters and spooky things that are happening. And they're reading the book to see what happens at the end. And I thought, what is even happening in this book? I don't get it. So at the end of the day, I give Hospitals Make Me Sick 1 star out of 5. I don't usually give that many 1 stars, and it's better than other books I've read in my life, but yeah, 1 star. So have you read this book? Have you read any books in this series? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd like to hear your thoughts, and if you know the answer to the riddle, write it in the comments below. I guarantee you'll never guess, because the answer doesn't make sense. Until next time, keep reading, everybody. Bye!